Okay, so this is going to be an idea that I'm going to call delaying the repeat. So riffs have to repeat more or less. It's part of the definition of riff. I believe the definition is a repeating musical phrase. But we can add some interest to that by changing when we actually repeat the riff. So what I did in these examples is I made the riff longer. I did two different variations of making a riff longer and just encroaching just a bit on the next repeat. It can just make a cool effect. It can add a bit of extra tension, because when you expect the repeat to come around, it doesn't, and then when you actually do snap back to where you would have been, then it creates a cool sort of resolution of tension. I think it's a cool effect. Okay, so I played two different riffs at the beginning, and I did two different variations on this idea. So in the first riff, what I did was, when I get to the tail at the end, and this part, when I get to this at the end, when I play it the first time and move into the second time, move into the first repeat, I repeat it normally, like you would expect. When I get to the beat one, I just start the riff over again. But then the next time around, what I do is I extend that tail part by one beat. So I go like this. So by adding that one beat, I encroach upon the next repeat just by one beat. So like I said before, it just adds this little bit of tension because it takes just a little bit longer to get back into the riff again. So just makes this cool effect. It's a pretty subtle effect. It doesn't throw you off that much. But then in the second riff, I did a bit more of an extreme version of it where we delay it for longer. And I also combine that delay with stopping the beat in the drums. Or I don't stop the drums, but I did stop the steady pulse in the drums. So that just, it adds to that rhythmic dissonance even more, because your ear is expecting it to snap back into that. So in the second one, the end of the riff goes like this. And that's what it does the first time. And then like I did in the first riff, when I get to beat one, I just start the riff over again. I just go straight into that. But then the second time, like I said, we do a much longer delay of the repeat. So it goes like this. And then when I finally get back into the riff, it's when I get to this chug, the G and F sharp. This is tuned to D, by the way, so it's not really G and F sharp. So because that's a longer delay before I snap back into where I would have been normally in the riff, it creates even more tension than in the first example, in the first riff. So then when it finally snaps back to where I would have been in the riff and snaps back to a normal beat, then it resolves that tension. But because it's a more extreme effect, because it takes longer, it throws you off a bit more. And to my ears, it gives the rest of the riff a different effect, because it's thrown you off so much that it takes a little while for your ear to readjust to where you are. So for me, this is a more extreme effect because it slightly changes your perception of the rest of the riff. So it's not something you want to use all the time, but it can create a cool effect. Okay, that's the end. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.